Okay, let's try this again. We're going to get through this, I promise. Are you guys all back with me again? We'll wait and let everybody catch up. Sorry I had to stop that. Alright. I think if I touch my phone, that's a no-no. We're learning. Hello, Ben. Okay. So what I'm going to teach you guys today, can everybody hear me? Can somebody hear me? Okay, so what I'm going to teach you guys today is how to make bias bonding. So when you're, thank you, thanks Gail. So when you're first doing quilts, you want to just do straight bonding. Can you see what I'm doing here? Do I need to adjust the camera? Let's adjust it a little bit so you can see. How about that? That's better, right? Okay. So this is just straight of grain bonding right here. We don't need bias bonding for this. What I need bias bonding for are anything that's going to have a curved edge. You guys are kind of getting a sneak peek too of my next pattern. So I'm going to need some bias bonding for here. The first thing that you want to do is you want to figure out exactly how much bias bonding you need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure, just with my measuring tape, all around the areas that I need the bias bonding. And I've already done that. And I'm going to need about 90 inches of bias bonding. I'm going to fold that up and get that out of the way. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. So once you figure out exactly how much you need, there are charts that you can buy. This one is just one. No, it's probably hard to see this. Maybe you can see it like that. This one is just one that I got at a quilt shop many years ago, and it'll tell you exactly how much you need for your square, for the size of your square for bias bonding. So since I need about 95 inches, I can look on here and it'll tell me what size square that I need, because I like mine to be, I like double bias bonding, double fold, so I want it to be 2.5 inch in width. Okay, I want my strips to be that wide. So I'm gonna make, about a 20-inch square. And if I have left over, that's no big deal, because I like to always use bias bonding on things. In some of my patterns I use bias bonding, and I've printed out the bias bonding tutorial that once this is over with, I will go ahead and share with you guys that have stayed with me today. You can email me and I'll send you this instructions to make it a little easier. Alright. So when you first start making bias bonding, like we talked about, you need your square. The next thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to cut it in half. So I'm just going to take my handy ruler here and I'm going to cut it in half straight down the middle. And if yours is too big and you need, your ruler won't reach like mine, I'm going to put an extra ruler here to make it longer. And then I'm going to use these sew line marker here to mark down the center. I find that it's easier to do this than to just try to cut it, because if my fabric happens to move, then I know where the line is instead of having to go back and trying to find the center again. It's always easier to cut directly on the line. Following me? Everybody following me? Any questions so far? All right. So we're just going to cut straight down the middle. Move my ruler down, being mindful to stay on the white line that I drew. Okay, here's the tricky part. So we've got it cut in half. We're going to take this piece and we're going to flip it over. Oops, we see a string on it. Black attracts everything. Flip it over just like that. Is everybody with me? You want to see it again? So we cut it in half for those of you that just joined. So we cut it in half and we're going to flip it over. And that's my iron, sorry. All right, we're going to flip it over and we're going to pin right along the edge. Move my phone back a little bit, try not to touch it so I don't disconnect us again. Okay. And then we're going to stitch to hold these together with 1/4 inch. Okay, I'm not going to do any sewing today because I really couldn't figure out how to turn around and sew and you guys still see me without making you all seasick. So let me just grab this over here. I've already done that. Excuse the white lines just for now, but I've stitched them together. Okay, after you stitch them together, you're going to get what we know from school is called a parallelogram. Okay, so just pretend that I stitched here, and we're going to get something that looks like this, minus the white lines, of course. Okay, we're going to press the seams open. It's my iron with me. Then the next thing that I'm going to do, because I want mine to be 2 1/4 inch, I'm going to take my ruler and I'm just going to mark it 2 1/4 inch. And that's what I've done with all these lines here. So can you see my ruler and see the lines? I've just kind of marked all the way down it. And I've just marked from this line 2 1/4 inch, 2 1/4 inch. At the very end, if you have leftover, as I did on this one, just go ahead and cut it off because you're not going to need it. You want it all the same width. Okay. So what I'm going to do from there is I'm going to fold these where both of the ends meet. Now this can be a little difficult to understand, so to help me remember, I just like to take my chalk marker and I'm going to write 1 on each one, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 in 6. Can everybody see that? Somebody tell me, can you see that? Okay, I'm going to assume you guys can see it or I've lost you all. Yep, you can see it. Thanks, Gail. All right. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pin and I'm going to line number 1 up with number 2. And this is going to give us the bias too. So I'm going to take number 1, row number 1, and I'm going to line it up with number 2. And then I'm going to take my pin and on the marked lines, I'm going to grab it here. Can you see that? And then I'm going to grab it on this line too. Can you see that pretty good? Maybe I need to move the camera in a little more. Is that better? Okay, so we're going to do that all the way down. Pinning and pinning. I'll pin a couple more so you can see, maybe now that it's close up. Any of you guys ever made bias bonding before? And do you do it this way? I love to sew with bias bonding. You have? Hey, Hannah. You've probably done it making some of my patterns, I'm going to guess, right? Hannah's one of my testers. I think that's the same Hannah. Is that right? All right. Make sure you grab the ends too. I forget that sometimes, but I'm quickly reminded when I go to sew these together and it won't fit. Okay, just to kind of give you an idea. So you're going to pin these together. Can you guys see that good? All right. Then I'm going to stitch with a 1/4 inch straight down there. You might want to pin the ends too, just to make sure that everything stays together, because we want to make sure that all the lines line up when we're stitching. Okay? And you're going to end up with something that looks like this. See how I've got number 1 lined up with number 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, 4 and 5, 5 and 6, and number 6 and number 1, the extra ones are just right over here by themselves. So now I'm going to take my scissors. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot I've got to press the seam open too. And you have to be careful, because if you use something that comes off with the iron, it definitely will iron off and you won't have any lines. So let's just test this. Hello from Canada, how are you doing? Okay, so we're going to be good on this. I tested it and it's not going to rub off with the iron. So I'm just going to iron this. See if I can move this over here where you guys can see. It's hard to have enough space for all this. Okay, so I'm just going to open the seams up. If you guys have any followers, if you're not new to Periscope, be sure and tell everybody to join us so they can learn about this too. And I want to be able to pass this out to as many people as possible. So share this with all your followers. Open this up. Of course, nothing ever works good when you're in front of people, whether on video or in person. It never works out exactly. There we go. Maybe I can get it to lay flat there now. Okay. Whoops, this one didn't lay very flat. Okay, there we go. So now we want to take the scissors, now that I've got that laid flat. Any questions so far? Okay, so now I'm going to take my scissors and I am just going to start cutting. I'm going to take this off. Can you see? We'll move this out of the way so maybe you can see better what I'm doing. I think the easiest thing to do is just to put it around your arm and then just cut. Cut right on the line. And you're making your bias bonding. Alright. Do you guys use bias bonding on quilts, or do you just use the straight bonding? Hello there. Thanks for joining us. You're in hot pink color, my favorite. Alright. I know y'all didn't join to watch me cut bonding, so this will kind of give you the idea. You're just going to cut it all the way around until you get to the very end, and this is going to be your bias bonding. I like to trim these little ears off as I go through. I use mine on quilts. Do you use bias bonding on quilts too? Or do you not use the straight? disappointed about that. I think it's easier to me to make bias bonding. I just wonder what most quilters do. I don't call myself a quilter, although I enjoy it. I mostly like to sew quick projects. Oh, very good. Thanks, Hannah. Bias then. Good, I don't feel so bad. Okay, so we are going to just fold it over. And we're going to press. And you're going to have your bias bonding. And we're going to have plenty to go around the project that we need. Easy enough? Any questions? No? Alright. Well, thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate it on our first, I'll have to put this up here so I can see. Yeah, thank you guys for joining me on my first Periscope. I'm trying to make it short and sweet and try to, thanks Hannah, thanks. Trying to make it short and sweet, and next time I'll be better at it and I won't have any kind of glitches. My husband will be here next time too, so maybe he can man the camera. If we don't have any sound, he'll know it. Thank you, Gail, appreciate it. You guys be sure and check out my tutorials, and if you'll just send me your email, I'll send you this bias bonding tutorial. I include it with some of my patterns, so I'll offer it free to you guys. It's, thanks Sally, hey Sally. My email is sewmichelle@outlook.com. Alright Gail, I have yours, yes, I'll send it to you. Alright, you guys take care, and I appreciate it. Y'all have a good evening, and I hope to do this again probably next week. I'll try to do another one. Next time we may be able to do a pattern. Would y'all like to, you'd like me to do more? Okay. So would you like to sew along with me? If I decided to do a pattern, would everybody like to sew along? Maybe sew along each week? I'm looking for feedback. No, maybe, yeah, sure. Okay. Sounds real good. All right, girls, thanks so much for joining. I appreciate it. You have a good one. Bye.